Today we're going over part two of our what can small businesses learn from ISO certifications. Hey there, everybody. This is Tom with Tom's Tech Show, and I've been through two kinds of certification: ISO 9001, which is kind of a manufacturing process, and then kind of newer, more security based thing, the ISO 27001, which is a security based, technological kind of based thing. So I've been through them. I'm not like a certified trainer or certified, a person who can certify you or anything else. I've just been through these processes, and um, and I'm gleaning from that some information that small businesses can use. And if you did want to eventually do that, then you'd have to engage with an ISO company that helps you to get there. Um, it is expensive to do. I mean, it could be, depending on the size of your company, $60,000, $70,000. So definitely not for the small business. But we really need to be able to take information, that these rules and kind of guidelines have, and it allows small businesses to adapt them. I mean, is it gonna everything protect you perfectly? Well, no, you're a small business. You're probably going to have employees do crazy things, but if you have policies, procedures, and everything like that in place, then maybe it'll protect you and help you a little bit. Okay, so inside this big document, which is the international standard of ISO IEC 27001, down here towards the end of this document, as I scroll way down, there is the controls reference. So these are the things that, just like the bullet items, that as you're going through ISO, you need to complete and satisfy these items. So like this 5.1 policies for information security, that reads: information security policy, topic specific policies shall be defined and approved by management, published and communicated. So you have a whole set of policies that you need for your company about how to do things, why to do things, different things, stuff like that. And everybody in the company has to sign off on them, things like that. So it's good to kind of have some of those things as a small business, and the like your acceptable use policy is probably one that really affects your end user inside your your small business. So scenario, right? You hire somebody into your small business, and your company, your little business has 8 employees. You bring on a ninth one and do stuff, and this ninth one decides to start checking their personal email on the computer and downloading images and things, and eventually suddenly they download something that's the wrong thing, and now it's spread throughout all of the computers on the network. Well, you can go to them and say, why did you do that? You shouldn't do that, things like that. But if when they're hired, you give them a document that says, here's the acceptable use, this is what we expect from you as an employee on how to use the computer, right? So that's the acceptable use policy for your computer. Don't check, if you want to check your email, use your personal phone on your personal time. That way, if something downloads to your phone, like, don't attach your phone to the Wi-Fi. Don't only use the computer for business purposes. Just simple things like that are kind of what's acceptable in the company for use. Okay, so you're going to have a ton of these. Probably eventually we're going to get to kind of a big list of them. But what we need to do, I think, in this episode here, is we need some place to store all of this information, and it needs to have some things in place. Okay, so where this is stored needs to be easily accessible by all the employees. easily accessible inside and outside of the company, because if you're because we're going to be putting procedures in this thing, right? So if there's a fire or something, bad happens, a car, careens through the front of the building and destroys a lot of stuff, you're going to need to be able to access them outside of the company. So those are some of the things that we need to be able to do. So I usually recommend, and it needs, the company that creates this, whatever application that you use, needs to be, more long lived, right? You can't, if you're using, a very, somebody has this little notepad thing that they use on their iPad, and it's only accessible on the iPad, and the company's been in business for a year, and they're maybe taken off, they're maybe not taken off, but they really like how it works. Well, that's that's not going to work, because next year it could be out of business, and then maybe your app will work, maybe it won't. If it only works on the iPad and not on a PC, we need to have something that covers everything. So I typically recommend something like OneNote. It's free from Microsoft. You get some, you have like some basic storage in OneDrive that allows these notes to be shared and synced and used on any device. They have apps for like iOS, Android, Windows, Mac. So it's ubiquitous, right? It's everywhere. So that's very helpful when we're trying to set this stuff up. Okay, so to start, I would say come here. We create sections, right? So we're gonna have like these folders. You get like file drawers, so they're calling them these little sections. So we're gonna rename this one to policies. So we're gonna have a policies folder here, and then we're gonna have a procedures, because we need, policies are what we define things. So we define a bunch of things in policies, and then procedures are, so the policies are kind of like the what, the procedures are kind of like the how. Okay, and then we can do something like this for evidence. So if you have you're doing backups, right, and you want to kind of keep track of those. I mean, something as simple as we have a page here. We're going to title this page server backup. Okay, so then every week or so, we'll just come in and take a screenshot of the backup that we're doing and paste it in there, and that's it, right? Just something simple. That way we have kind of a history of what's going on in the backups. So here we have the, our first page here, which we're going to do this AUP, which is the acceptable use policy. So this is where you're going to put down, some different bullet points. We're going to get deeper into acceptable use policy and some other things, but we're just kind of going over this functionality, how this is going to be, kind of arranged, and how we can get this set up, right? So now already this is set up. It's ready to sync, to OneDrive, so I could go to another computer, be able to do that, connect to it and view the notes and stuff on another computer or my iPad or whatever, and be able to view it on different things. So you could actually set up, an iPad in your office, right? And just say, I need you to, look at all these, policies, whether we end up with 10 or 20 or 1,000, right? Whatever that might be. Every company is different. So you can just give them the iPad, have them go through all the different pages and read it all, stick them in a corner, whatever, of your new employees, and say, read all this, and then have a paper document that they sign. And then you can probably scan that in and stick it in the evidence section that employee used and viewed the policies and acknowledged that they know and understand what they are. And by signing it, a paper document, that really ingrains in their mind, right, that, yeah, they're kind of serious about what they're doing inside of here. Okay, so once we get that set up and we have procedures, like there'll be probably a backup procedure. We can have a what else is there? I mean, there's a ton of these procedures. Password change procedure, where to go to change your password. So defining these different things. And as you can see, we're building this set of documents. We've got these file drawers basically, and we're building a set of documents that allow us to continue to track these. And then it'll tell you, like, you know, you get some update history and things like that. So, and since it's OneNote, you can share that with multiple people. If, you know, there's 2 people in the office that are going to work on some different, you know, documents, then you'll be able to let them, you know, kind of work on them in conjunction and continue to fill them out and get information in there. So if you search for on the internet for many of these things, acceptable use, password policy, I guess that's another one that we would need, right, is a password policy. Right, all these things. There's a lot of documents out there on the internet. I'll find a really good resource that has a bunch of them. That if you want to, you know, that's are free to plagiarize, of course, and put in there. Okay, so that's the beginning. So we need to build this framework and get something like OneDrive. I mean, if you really hate OneDrive or OneNote, then, you know, you can choose something else. I mean, Evernote has been around for a long time. Seems like a stable company, but you have to pay for that. And you probably have to pay, you know, more for like a multi-user license and things like that, have people edit. So you have to take that into consideration, how much you want to invest in the, you know, kind of simulated ISO procedure. But I really like taking some of these enterprise things. I mean, more things in small business, you know, need to have access to these enterprise things that go on. And that makes your company safer. That makes your employees safer. That helps to maintain your business, because part of this whole thing, and that'll be another tab, another like file drawer, is business continuity, right? How do we keep the business running? Say the building burns down, you know, the flood comes, or something like just all the computers die. You know, how do we maintain that business continuity? So that's going to be obviously another big section of this as we move forward. All right. So if you have any questions or anything about it as we continue this series, please let me know in the comments down below. If there's something you have, you know, definitely bigger questions about, I'm going to be covering more. If there's something you want me to cover in more detail, then please post a comment down below. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care.